It is Pride Month, which means an opportunity to recognize, celebrate, and learn more about the countless contributions made by the 2S LGBTQ+ community. It's also a good time to take stock of the government policies that are going against that freedom. Here to decode the shifting policies for transgender rights in Canada and their potential impact on the queer community, Miles Sexton is here, who is a 2S LGBTQ+ advocate. Great to have you in.
Thank you so much for having me.
You look fabulous today, by the way. Miles, in the past year, there have been provincial updates that specifically affect transgender youth.
Yes.
Take me through what has changed.
Yeah, so there's been some policy changes in Saskatchewan and New Brunswick. So they've now, like in the policy 713, you now have to be of the age of like 16 years old. You have to have parental consent in order to change your pronouns or to change your name, like legally and within the school system. And then in Alberta, they proposed a lot more policies. These haven't been put into place yet, but they just announced them at the beginning of this year. So they're actually like removing any sort of hormone replacement therapy for any like young person under the age of 15. They're not allowing trans women to participate in like women's sports, as well as they're allowing young people to opt out of sexual health education if they choose to within the school system.
When you hear policy, like proposed policy changes like this,
yes,
as a person who's within this community, what's your initial reaction to it?
I mean, it's definitely very terrifying, but you know, I think I like to sort of start I think as Canadians, we need to look at, and I think we celebrate that we want to make children feel safe, feel loved, and respected, right? I think that that's sort of like the standard, but unfortunately policies like this exclude a large group of people, and doesn't make them feel safe or loved or respected when these policies kind of go into place. And it's like only protecting one group of people. So when we talk about the pronouns and like having to get parental consent, I think what a lot of people don't realize or think about is that the home actually isn't sometimes a safe space for like people like myself. So schools like often become a safe space. You know, for me growing up, I relied on my guidance counselors and my teachers to figure out a plan of how I could sort of come out in a safe way that I wasn't going to be subject to verbal abuse or physical abuse or even just homelessness. So by putting policies like this in place, you're actually putting the lives of trans and non-binary and everyone a part of our community kind of at risk, because they now have to disclose if I decide that I'm going to change my name to a parent. And, you know, I have a lot of conversations with parents about it as well. And they're like, well, I would want to know if my child is going to change their pronouns or their name. But I'm like, if you're creating a safe space at home, your child's going to have that conversation. And this is what really impacts is the people who don't have a safe space at home. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to like think about that. And then when it comes to like hormone replacement therapy, it's like, it's really frustrating when I think political figures are like stepping in and making policies around like things that I think healthcare professionals should be giving their insights on. Because a lot of medical professionals are actually completely against this bill in Alberta, which is which I'm glad that they're like fighting back against it. Because, you know, hormone replacement therapy, especially for trans people, this is a life-saving treatment. You know, my partner is trans as well, and like, when I hear him talk about like how literally hormone replacement therapy saved his life, because, you know, trans and non-binary people and people from my community, they're at the highest risk of suicide. And like delaying that until they're like past 16 years old, like that's just pushing mental health and like depression like even further, because they can't live there and be their authentic selves. So it's a bit scary. Yeah.
It's a bit scary, but there are people like you who are advocating, who are speaking and providing a platform for hopeful change in the future. And Miles, I'm thankful every time you come on the show. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.